What's going on today, guys? It's another beautiful day in Minnesota. It's above freezing, so I'm gonna work on the engine for the truck. Nothing major. All I'm doing is replacing the timing cover gasket and the oil pan gasket. The reason I'm changing the oil pan is because this is the original oil pan from the junkyard. I'm trying to find but in the junkyards around here, what they do is just pop a hole in the bottom of the oil pan and then put a rubber plug. I mean, it hasn't leaked for me yet, but I mean, the replacement was, I think it was like 40 bucks, so I'm just gonna replace that. So the first thing I'm gonna need to do is drain all the fluids, the coolant and the oil, and then start working on that. All right, so the easiest way to drain coolant out of these motors is, well, I gotta get out of the light, but you should be able to see a little plug there on the side of the block. There's one on either side. And then you just unscrew those, and those are direct ports into the coolant jackets. So I'm gonna pop that off, and then I'm gonna pop the other one off as well. Make sure you have a large bucket, because there's gonna be a lot of coolant that comes out. All right, so all the fluids are drained, so I'm going to flip this guy around so the oil pan is facing up. There will be oil that'll still drip out the bottom, so I'm gonna have some pig mat underneath as well, just to make sure that I don't, I mean, this floor isn't the prettiest anyways, but just to avoid the oil spillage, I'm gonna have this drip pan with some pig mat on it. So I'm gonna set you guys up, I'm gonna flip this guy over, and then we're gonna start taking the oil pan off. Hopefully you can see everything that I'm gonna be doing. Basically, I'm just gonna flip it over, and then I'm gonna start undoing the oil pan. Make sure you're slow when turning this over, because it is heavy, very, very heavy. Oh, fuck. That's nice. Looks as though I didn't have all the coolant out, so that's nice. All right, well, that's nice. I'm gonna start taking off the oil pan now. So yeah. The dipstick probably should be removed before doing that. I'm going to do that now. Of course, the tube came out. Nice. All right, so now I have the oil pan off. Now's a good time to take a look in your cylinder walls just to see their condition. It's kind of hard to tell. You can't really tell on camera, but they look pretty good. There's no scoring on that one. It still has cross hatching. I'm trying to pick it up, but you guys probably won't be able to tell, but you'll see a little bit of cross hatching still there. I mean, it should, being that this motor was rebuilt maybe like, I don't know, 20,000 miles ago. It's a good time to just take a look at everything. If you have a rear main seal that is leaking, now would be the perfect time to do that. All you gotta do is take off the oil pump and the rear main cap. And then it's a two-piece seal that you just gotta kind of push through. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get that cap off. So right now I'm going to clean up everything and get all the oil off all these surfaces. I'm waiting for my brother Joe to grab me a harmonic balancer puller so I can get that front timing cover off, because I'm going to be replacing that gasket while I'm here, which is a opportune time to do this, just because if you have the oil pan off already, it's a lot easier to get that timing cover off than whenever you have the oil pan on there. So I'm going to set you guys up and start cleaning this thing. Gasket, like if you have one like this, the steel that is reusable, careful when you're taking this gasket off. However, I bought a new gasket and I'm not gonna worry about reusing this one. All right, so in the last video I took the oil pan off of the engine, and then I ran out of time to get anything else done. So today I'm going to be getting the front timing cover off, and we're going to start putting all this back together once I clean everything up. All right, so now I'm just going to take off the timing cover. I already took the harmonic balancer off in another video. I probably should have videoed that, but it's pretty self-explanatory once you get the tool. So because I don't want to reseal the water pump, I'm just going to take these two bolts off of each side and all the bolts for the cover, and not take any of the other non-essential bolts off, so that I don't have to reseal this water pump. So the size is a 9/16. Right, they should be all loose. I'm going to check that there aren't any on top. There aren't, so then you're just going to want to give it a bit of a pull. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Okay, well, Jesus. That was a lot harder than I remembered. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, that's not how it's supposed to go, but it's off. Alright, so I got the timing cover off after a lot of persuasion. So now, typically these come right off, but I was an idiot and put RTV behind them. So I'm going to just have to take a razor blade behind all this to peel it back. And these are actually reusable. However, mine is not going to be after I'm done with it. Alrighty. Okay, everything's off. And now I'm just going to take the razor blade. I'm going to have to scrape the entire surface here. Right. So basically you want to get this as clean as you absolutely can. That's why I'm continuing to scrape even though I'm not getting much. I'm going to try and get it as clean as I possibly can. Once I do get it as clean as I can with the razor blade, I'll come back with some brake clean and wipe down the entire front of the engine, just because with the timing cover on, it's a lot harder to clean this surface here, and right now is the opportune time. Alright, so I've got the front all cleaned up. Next I'm going to go to the bench and start cleaning up the timing cover. So I'll bring you guys over there. So basically what you're going to want to do, clear off all this surface here. And basically it's the same operation as before. You just use a razor blade and you clear it off. Except this is aluminum, so be a little more careful with this. Don't cut into the aluminum. And then after I'm done here, I'm going to clean off the front. And I've got the oil pan mating surface already cleaned off, so we're good there. Because I have my water pump on here, I don't want to get all these shavings into these ports here, because I don't want them to get stuck in the water pump in any way. So I'm being careful around these holes just not to let it fall in there. Alright, this stuff's pretty boring, so I'm going to cut you guys off just because you don't need to see me scrape this entire thing. I'm going to get you guys back on whenever I get to the front side to clean that off, and then we're going to bring you back to actually put it onto the block. Alright, so now I've got the backside all cleared off, so I'm going to start wiping down this here. I don't know how long the GoPro is going to last, so I'll just leave you guys on until she dies. Alright, so I think that this is clean enough. Basically all I'm going to do now is I'm going to set you guys up so you can see me put it back on. And we'll install, I believe we want to do this guy first. And then we're going to do the oil pan. Alright, so now I got you guys back here. Hopefully you all can see what I'm going to be doing here. Once again, I'm going to make sure that all this stuff is dry and clean. Bottom doesn't seem to be dry. I think there's just some oil here. So I'm going to clean this guy off here quick. And then I'm going to grab the timing cover and put it on here. Alright, so I've got the timing cover with the gasket on already. This is again one of those reusable ones. I'm not going to be putting on any RTV this time, just because such a pain in the ass last time. So I've got the 2 bolts here. I'm going to line this guy up as best as I can without destroying this gasket. Maybe. And then just start to thread this here. There. Alright, I'm going to grab my other bolts. You will notice I have new bolts. That's just because I bought a kit, mostly just to get new bolts for my, for my oil pan. But it came with the timing cover bolts and everything else like that as well. Now I'm just going to hand tighten these guys. Oh crap. One thing I forgot on the water pump. These bolts need thread sealant because they go into a water jacket. So I'm going to go and put that on quick. You'll see not a whole lot, just enough to thread up to seal up the threads. All right. Because the these aftermarket bolts here are too long, I'm assuming they're probably for the older schools LA 318, not the Magnum. So they actually won't work. So I'm going to take them out and replace them with the factory ones. Kind of irritates me, but that's all right. All right, so Now that those guys are tightened up, I can take out these top ones and replace them with the OEM ones, because there's no point in doing one style and then do an entire different style bolt. So because these don't have any, these are blind holes, they don't have any fluid going through them. You don't need to put any thread sealant on these. I got a new harmonic balancer. Alright, so now that's going to self-align everything because it's got the seal there. So I'm not going to fully install it, but I'm going to now tighten down all these bolts because this is going to self-align everything. I'm also going to do it in a crisscross pattern. I don't know if it's crucial for this, but I'm just going to do that because it's a good habit to get into. So the timing cover is now installed. Now I'm going to brake clean all the surfaces for the oil pan and that gasket, and then I'll show you guys kind of where the crucial parts are to put RTV and everything like that. Just want to clean off all the surfaces, especially in these corners here. Make sure that they're nice and dry. Hopefully you can see that. Because you're going to be putting RTV there. Same with these corners here. And the same goes for the other side. I'm going to set you guys up in a way that you can see me install the oil pan and the new gasket and everything like that. Alright, so this is the gasket here. It only goes on one way. I believe the small end goes at the back. Yeah, just like this here. So it'll fit into this groove back here, nice and tight. And then you're going to want to put RTV in this corner, that corner, this corner, and this corner. And you want to use the black RTV because it is for oil resistant things. So I'm going to take this guy off, set it over here, grab my RTV right here. I'm just going to use my finger just to push it into those corners. And I think I'm going to smear it along this gasket as well, just in case that wants to leak. And especially back here, you want to get it in that corner, just because if this leaks, it could look like you have a rear main seal leak, which sucks. So you want to make sure that this doesn't leak. So if it does leak at the back, you will be sure that it is a rear main seal. Alright, so now that I've got that all there, I'm going to place this on here. Alright, I'm going to grab the oil pan here. Because this is a brand new oil pan, it is nice and clean. But if yours isn't, try and clean that thing out. Then I'm going to set this over here. Now remember, you got the oil pickup, which you have to snake in there. Now you just take your bolts and you install it. And this one, it is crucial that you do a crisscross pattern. There's actually a specific pattern. I don't know it off the top of my head. But the main gist of it is that you want to do cross. to make sure that this is seated evenly. All right, so I'm gonna start here. I'm not going to tighten them all down tight yet. I'm just going to lightly tighten them. And then I'm going to go back again for final tightening. Alright, so right now I have the harmonic balancer heating up so that it'll be easier to slip on to the crankshaft. Ideally, I believe there's a press tool to actually pull that guy onto the crankshaft, however I don't have that. So another method you can do is heat this up so it'll expand a little bit. Because it's kind of cold in here anyways, the crankshaft is, I mean, it's not that cold, but it is colder than this is going to be. And then hopefully we'll be able to set it on there and then whack it with a piece of wood and a hammer, and hopefully it'll drive on there smoothly. Alright, I'm going to put some oil on the crank as well, just to make it a little easier. Where the keyway is, because it's going to be really hot, so you want to line it up as quickly as possible. Get all your tools by you ready. Alright, I'm going to try and get it on there. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I don't know how I'm going to get that guy on there. Alright, so last time I saw you guys, I had pulled a few threads out of the front of the crankshaft. Now, I'm going to take this guy out. I had tapped the crankshaft again just to clean up those threads that I had damaged. I'm going to show you what I actually did damage. So you'll be able to see there are a few threads that were damaged. The rest are pretty good, so I think I'm going to be just fine to install the harmonic balancer. Don't make my mistake and try to install it with the bolt and the harmonic balancer itself. I had been doing that ever since I've had this motor with the old harmonic balancer here, just because it actually worked. It was so sloppy that it would actually pull itself on there. But with the new harmonic balancer, this guy is too tight to allow that to happen. So what I did is I pulled the first few threads out of the crank by trying to install it with just the bolt. Now I bought a new bolt, and I bought a tap, and I have the rental tool to actually install the harmonic balancer. This is the Napa part number if you guys wanted to know. It comes with a bunch of different size thread adapters for it. Basically what you want to do is you want to thread your size adapter in here, just like that. I'm putting it in quite a bit further than you have to, just because I know those first threads are damaged. Make sure it's in there tight. Then what you're going to want to do, you're going to slide your balancer on there. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but I'm going to see if I can do it. Look for the little key there, and the key way there. Line it up. Okay, so it's just barely slid on there. Then you take this tool here, thread the nut in there, put the bearing on there like so. There's a little bolt here, that's what screws into these adapters. And then what you're going to do, you're going to do this here. Going to thread this little bolt into that adapter as tight as you can. I'm going to grab a wrench to actually tighten it further. Just tighten it a little bit. Don't want it too tight. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use this nut to actually pull it on there. I probably won't have you guys watch that just because I can't hold you guys and put a wrench on this. Alright, so now I have the harmonic balancer on there. I have it already torqued down. I torqued it to 135. That's just what I found online. It could be wrong, but I feel like 135 is enough. Now I'm just going to flip the motor over and I will see about getting the intake and everything on. Alright, so now that I have the timing cover on, the oil pan on, harmonic balancer on, and everything else, I cleaned up all the mating surfaces on the heads and on the intake, so I'm just going to install that quick. Basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put some RTV here, 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 and here, and then around the ports, the water jacket ports, because those tend to leak. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. I'm going to first make sure that everything's nice and dry, so I'm going to come by with a paper towel. I did brake clean all this down, but I just want to make sure for certain that it's completely dry. Alright, now that everything's clean, I'm going to grab the RTV. I've got the ultra gray. I typically use the ultra black, however my ultra black is hardened up. This should work just fine. The mistakes I've made before is putting way too much on, so I'm going to try and lessen the amount that I put on there. So we put some in these corners here. Probably too much even there. Alright, so there's the front and rear seal that you got to install. Go like such. They got little pegs on the back. Got to basically just set them in there. Make sure that those pegs, those holes are clear. Actually, it might need some more RTV because it's supposed to fill up the gaps between these two here. So I might grab that again. Alright, there isn't a front or a back on these that I know of, so all you got to do is just set them down onto their spots. Just like so. Now you grab your intake, set it in here. Try and line up the holes as best you can. And then you just grab the bolts. Alright, so I got all my bolts. Just gonna hand tighten them. Sweet. All good and tight. Alright, so now the intake is on. I just threw in the distributor for now. The bolt's not in or anything, just to keep any oil or any dirt or anything out of the motor. I'm going to put some rags in here just to keep anything out of the motor. I won't be putting the carb back on just because I will be putting the Phytech throttle body on there soon enough. Yeah, I'm gonna give it one last clean before I throw it in, but all I have left is to do a second coat on the front half, and then on the rear I still need to grind it down and put 415 on that. So I don't know when that's going to be done, but when I do start working on that, I will get you guys a video out for that. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like the video and consider subscribing. See ya.